everybody, welcome back. We are going to have a little chat today about Fantasy Flight Games' upcoming Star Wars Unlimited card game that I had the opportunity of participating in a Learn to Play event at Gen Con this year. I cannot tell you how excited I was. Number one, to even be able to, very late making the decision to go participate in Gen Con, still being able to snag a ticket to do that. I was pumped, right? And it was very exciting because there was Star Wars things posted all over the place, and they had these big cardboard cutouts of Han and Luke and Leia that, of course, I had to take my picture with all of them. But standing in line with everybody to participate in those events was just fun because, if you're a Star Wars person, hopefully you are, you're my people. And everybody just has that enthusiasm, when something new is coming out and everybody's excited and hyped up about it. And so there's just this energy buzzing through the line while we were waiting. And so, I got in and unfortunately I wish I would have planned better. We had only gotten one ticket, so Bill did not get to do the event with me. So I went as a party of one going to participate in this. So I got seated, and then I had to wait for them to find another party of one to bring over to have somebody go through the demo with me. And obviously, the decks that they had us trialing in the demo format was a Luke deck and a Darth Vader deck, and obviously, that's the right way to approach it because that's what we mostly associate with Star Wars, right? But it is going to be a trading card deck building game, right? So there is going to be a ton of variety, and you're going to be able to build your stuff out to look like whatever you would like it to look like. But, understand in this instance, you were sitting down and you got what you got, and that was all that you had to work with. What I thought was very interesting about it is that it has, and it's funny because now I'm approaching this from a Magic player's perspective, right? Because I'm stuck in Magic brain 90% of the time in terms of the way you play in a trading card game. Plenty of similarities to that, in that you have to play cards that are your mana, if you will, in order, that's your resources for you to be able to use to pay for things to bring it out on the board. What I thought was very interesting is that you have both a ground zone and an air zone in Star Wars Unlimited. And depending on the type of card that you're playing, it will belong in one of those two areas, and it can never work the other way, okay? So obviously, if you're going to bring a character out, that character is going to be a ground-based thing. You'll go in your ground zone. If you're going to bring, say, an X-Wing out, that's going to go in the space zone, right, in the air zone. So that was kind of cool and different. And then you have the ability to, you keep going back and forth in a turn until somebody can't do anything anymore. So in that instance, and so you can tell it's Fantasy Flight Games, and so they did pull some similarities in the mechanics from what we had in Destiny. When that game was out, which RIP Destiny, because I still love that game. I don't know why. I swear companies are like, what game does Dawn love? We're not going to make that anymore and support it, but whatever. I'm not bitter, a little bit, but whatever. So you'll take turns going back and forth in your turn. So, unlike what we know from Magic, it's not you do everything that you can do and then it's your opponent's turn. It's like you will do one thing and it goes to your opponent for them to do one thing. And we keep going back and forth until somebody can't do anything anymore. And in that instance, there is a initiative marker. So much like Destiny, with the way it had the battles out on the board that you could claim when you have nothing else to do, or you're willing for it to be, you're not going to do anything else on your turn, you can claim the initiative. And then that will ensure that you have the first turn in the next round, right? And so I have to say, a little frustrating in the demo game for me in that because you were so limited with the things that you could do, I never ended up with an opportunity to even have the initiative marker. So I don't know that it really would have mattered in the grand scheme of things, but I had Luke and did I? I did not. I had the Imperials and my opponent had Rebels, and I took a beating. I mean, I was very frustrated. I'm not going to lie. It was almost not a fun demo for me. I mean, it's always going to be fun because we're playing Star Wars, right? And I was excited to get to participate in it, but the way these two decks played against each other in this instance, it was extremely frustrating for me. I really felt like I only had one pretty good, successful turn where I got to do like a combat trick that made me feel like accomplished and like I was able to do like a cool thing. But the rest of the time, man, Luke has the ability to have a shield on things all the time, and to be able to get through that is where you can tell at an intro deck level of participation when you don't have the right kinds of removal and things available to you to deal with specific mechanics that your opponent might have. Very frustrating. I don't know, just it was kind of bizarre. Overall, and let me get back to the zones. So when you have characters or ships in your two zones and you go to make an attack against your opponent, ground things can only attack ground things, or you can attack your opponent's base, because obviously at the end of the day, that is what you're trying to do. You are trying to take out your opponent's base versus Magic, where you're trying to damage the player. Your options are always going to be either to combat another unit on the board or go directly for your opponent's base. And then in space, same scenario. You can attack another thing in space. You cannot attack a thing on the ground, which I do find a little bit strange, because we all know that if you are in a ship and you're flying around, in theory, you should be able to hit something that is in the sky with you as well as something on the ground if you're in the right kind of vehicle to do that. At least at this point in time, that is not the way this game works. And so I found that as kind of just a little quirk that bugged me a little bit, but whatever. I was fine with using the things in the zones. Where I struggled a little bit is the lack of the ability to interrupt anything that your opponent's doing. This is very much an I go, you go scenario. So when you make a decision as the attacker to attack something on the other side of the board, you as the person defending that are basically at the mercy of letting whatever happen. You don't have a card in your hand that you can play to stop something, to minimize something, to get rid of something, to whatever. Like, that fundamentally bothered me. And because there was two instances where I kept kind of pausing and asking the really nice young lady that was helping us get through the game to go, so there's nothing to be able to play to stop that or minimize the damage or deflect some of it or whatever. And she's like, no. And that's really all she said. And again, you never know if you are the person that's taking you through a game, if they are really, if they are just a person that is helping out to run these events, or somebody that is actually working, within the company that really may know kind of where the game's going to go from here. I hope as the game expands and grows that there will be that type of card interaction for it. But as of right now, to know that there's not, it really bugged me. And like I said, I took a beating. I mean, my base got taken out really, really quick. Here I had a Darth Vader, and I should have thought to bring those two cards over to the table. I threw pictures up on our Facebook channel when we were there, because I did get, when you participate in one of these demo events, you did get a Luke and a Darth Vader card for the game, which is very cool. So that was the only kind of product, if you will, that anybody could walk away with at the show for unlimited. And these cards, because they are like your hero, your main characters for this, are awesome in that they're double-sided. And so for all of the game as we played it, because it went so flipping fast, we never got to flip either of them. So as they were out on the board, they were just there, and they had a passive option that was always happening on the card, and like I said, Luke's was that he had a shield, and I genuinely can't even remember what Vader's was. It obviously was not something that I was finding particularly helpful in the way my gameplay went, but the way these cards are built is that for your resources, when you get to an appropriate number of resources, you don't have to spend them to flip it, but you just have to have that many, and then you can flip it. And then when the character goes from their passive to their active, like they're very badass, honestly. Like that, I was disappointed that we never got to see them get to that point. Just because of how quickly the rest of the gameplay played out. So that'll be something interesting to watch in the future to see how it goes. I guess I should talk a little bit about the way resources work in the game. This is a similarity to Ravensburger's Lorcana that's going on in kind of tandem with these paths, in that both of those games, unlike, say, Magic or Pokemon or anything like that, you don't have to have a color mana base in play. You're not looking through your cards or trying to draw cards that are specifically resources to play and be able to pay for things. Rather, you have just all the cards, in whatever cards you want to use in building your deck, and you have to make hard choices to go, what do I want to not have the rest of the game that I'm going to commit to being a resource? And you'll take a card from your hand, you'll play it face down, and now that card will no longer be anything you're going to get to actually play in the game. It is now only going to function as a resource for you. So I have to say, initially, it's very frustrating, because you're like, oh my God, I don't want to part with this card. It's very tough to make the decision, but also it is very nice to know that your first hand, whatever you draw, barring the fact that your goal should be just like playing any other trading card game, where hopefully your starting hand is not everything that costs a tremendous high amount of resources, because you're never going to be able to get anything out on the board. You do need some lower cost things to be able to play stuff as you go, right? So that's where you make those really hard decisions, because you may have to intentionally bury some super big, powerful card because it's very expensive, knowing what you have in your hand and that you're never going to be able to get it out in a timely manner before you're dead. So you might have to go, okay, fine, it's going to be a resource, play it face down. So kind of a very cool mechanic. I still don't quite know how to feel about it. Like I said, it is very awesome to not have that feeling of being mana screwed when you draw your starting hands. But it's hard to get rid of stuff that you want to be able to play later. So it's a trade-off. So that said, overall, I told Bill, and it's funny because I don't feel any differently now after being able to sit and think on it since being there and playing the game than when I was there. But I can honestly say that I didn't know how to feel walking away from my demo game experience, because it's Star Wars. I love Star Wars, right? So they had me at IP, and they'll have me no matter what, because it's an IP that I love, right? So we know it, but I did not walk away from that game with my mind blown and going, oh my God, I can't wait until next year to get this. Because I think I could truly say that if it was available for sale there, and so was Lorcana, or anything else, maybe, new, different, and exciting, if I only had X amount of money to spend while I was there, I don't know that I would have bought this. And that really bothers me. I can't even tell you. Bill was laughing at me because I kept saying, I am so confused, because I wanted to love this game. In my head, I already had told myself that I did before we got to Gen Con, because it's Star Wars and I just was so excited about it. And you know me about card games, like, come on, they're going to have my attention, easy peasy. But I was disappointed, and I hate saying that. So I will continue watching it and following it. I haven't written it off completely. I just was very surprised at how unexcited I was about it after I completed my gaming experience. And now, to be fair, other people that were in line with me, when I was waiting to get in for my demo, there was a girl in front of me that I was having a conversation with, and she had participated in a demo the day before. And she said that, she said, I am not like a tremendous Star Wars fan. She's like, I like Star Wars, but I'm not like a super fan, right? But she said, so she goes, I participated in it just because my friends were doing it. So fine, in the interest of us kind of staying together, I'll do it. But she said she loved it. Like, she was very excited about it. So that got me excited. And then I just didn't feel that same thing. And now, to be fair, I didn't have enough of a conversation with this girl to know if she played anything else, because it would be very interesting to know if this was a person that maybe doesn't play any other trading card games, having this as their first experience with a trading card game. I could see maybe that impression being very different than the way I walked away from it. So I guess that's a really good thing to take into consideration. I'll have to sit and think on that one some more. But Star Wars Unlimited, guys, what do you think? I know you've been looking at the news and things about it. And if you're a trading card game player, let me know what you think about it. Are you looking forward to it? What do you think of what you have seen so far? If you got to go to Gen Con and got to do a demo, what did you think of how the game played? Like, I really would like to know how others are feeling about this, because I am very conflicted. So on that, I guess I'm going to leave it to you, and look forward to catching up with you guys again in another video. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our social media channels. We are Other Realms on Facebook as well as on YouTube, SITREP Podcast Other Realms. And until the next one, I'll see you later.